Hey everyone, this is Caroline with the Expat Interviews Thriving Abroad, where we have an opportunity to meet the most amazing people that are doing amazing things all across the globe. And of course, today I am very excited to bring you someone who is just doing amazing things in an amazing country, a country that I had the pleasure of visiting once, but I'm going to let her tell you her story. I have the amazing and the beautiful Miss Charlotte Van Horn from Panama. Welcome, Charlotte. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much for having me.
So,
And it takes one queen to see another.
Yes, girl. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I just want to get right into this beautiful country of Panama. We don't, hear a lot of people talking about Panama as far as, I mean, it does come up on the expat, and there are many people that do stuff with Panama, but it's still not always forefront in our minds when we're thinking of a relocation, maybe retirees more so, but you're going to give us the 411 on just what can we find in Panama. But first, let's get into, just tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from originally?
I am from Glassboro, New Jersey. I am from the real Garden State, baby. I'm talking farms and single lane roads. Very small place in New Jersey. That's where I'm from. And pretty much I stayed in the States until I was almost 30. And well, actually, I was still in the States. I left that area and moved to Mississippi when I was about 30. My mother passed in 1987, and I was just kind of a mess. I was a mess for like a few years after that. And finally, and my girlfriend, who didn't even know how much of a mess I was, she was like, "Why don't you come live with me in Mississippi?" And I was like, "Girl, please, I'm not coming to Mississippi." I said, "I'll be some strange fruit messing around in Mississippi with my big mouth." But at one point, I just decided I had nothing to lose. And so I made that journey to Mississippi. She was living in Biloxi. She was in the military there. That's where I met my husband. So I met my husband there, and my husband is Panamanian. And so that is how I ended up connecting to Panama. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a nice way to segue right into it. So what did you think? What were your thoughts when you first went to Panama? I mean, my experience was I went to the city and I thought I was in Miami, actually, it just felt like the U.S. and they used the U.S. currency. It was so U.S.-like. But what were your thoughts when you first got there?
Well, I've heard people say that Panama City reminded them of Miami. I don't think I've ever been to Miami. So I don't know. But what I will say is that my husband had been telling me, I've been with my husband at that point probably for about 6 years. And he had always, told stories about growing up in Panama. And, to me, he would have those, can we pause for a moment?
Sure. All right, so that was easy. Just plug in the computer and we're ready to go again. All righty. So so your husband, he wanted to retire, or he was thinking about it?
No, so my first experience in Panama, my husband, he would tell all these stories about growing up in Panama, and he would tell like Bill Cosby stories to me. Like, Bill Cosby would tell stories how he had to walk 4 miles in the snow to get to school and all that kind of stuff. But I felt like my husband's stories were kind of like that. Like, he was always hiking and being in the jungle and this and that. So when I came to Panama, I was like, really? It was much more metropolitan than I expected. And I liked it. It felt good. I liked it. And it wasn't the kind of thing where I was like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. I could see myself living here. No. But I really did enjoy, I thought I loved the warm weather. And I just really did. I just thought it was pretty cool when I first came here in 2004. And then we started coming back, more often, like twice a year and everything. And by that time, I had really gotten to the place where, maybe I could see myself here. when I met him, one of the first things he told me was like, yeah, when I retire, I'd like to go back to Panama. And I was thinking, I said, well, that's nice. At that point, it's all, just absolute transparency.
Sure.
I didn't think any place better in the world than the United States.
Sure.
Why would I ever want to live anywhere else? Honestly, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, most of us, well, this is interesting. When I was looking to leave the US, I was looking for a spot. Panama was the first country on my list. I actually researched Panama and I was set, almost like, pushing the button on my plane ticket to go. But in the interim, I started seeing a lot of the expats were posting that there was some issues with visas. And a lot of people were doing those border runs, just hopping over to Costa Rica and back, and the government was clamping down on it at the time. So I got kind of scared, and I was like, well, darn, I don't want to, get over there, pack all my stuff, reach there, and then they tell me, oh, you got to go in 3 months. At the time it was 90 days. And so that just kind of spooked me a little bit. So I said, well, let me go to Costa Rica instead. So that's what I wound up doing. But Panama was the first place on my list. I loved everything that I saw about Panama. So you're in Panama now, and what part of the country? I mean, it's a big country. What part are you?
I'm near the city, Panama City. I'm in the suburbs of Panama City, and I live in Brisas del Golf Norte. And that was one of the things, once I moved here and started doing Black Expats in Panama, and because we purchased our home back in 2012. So we had, been planning to transition for a while, but you never heard anything about suburbs of Panama City. All you heard was, Boquete, Coronado, and yes, and there's so much more.
Right.
And I like I said, I come from like a rural place, but I could never see myself living in a rural area, and I can never see myself living in a city. That's why I am a certified suburban chick. I like the suburbs. So this was very attractive to me. I could walk to everything, but I can drive my car right up to the store and get out and go inside. That is driving my car up to the store and in a parking lot and park and go in the store. It's very important to me. That's one of the reasons I don't like living in the city.
Yep.
Can't do that.
So,
but I need to have somebody hear me when I holler.
So you started the Black Expats in Panama, and I want to ask you, I'm putting you on the spot. Tell me one reason, or two or three, why I should consider moving to Panama.
Well, you should consider moving to Panama because of, I think, the U.S. currency that's used here is a big plus. The other thing is that if you are a Black expat or want to be Black expat, there is a lot of people here that look like you and I. Okay, so that is a plus, and then they have a fabulous culture, Black culture here. They have it's an interesting blend of the Latino, Caribbean, West Indian, and I just think that it's a lot to do here. There is the infrastructure is strong. Infrastructure is very good. Medical care here is good. You have so many choices. You can live in the city, you can live in the suburbs, you can live in rural, you can live at the beach. Even though it's not as inexpensive to live here as it is in some other Central or South American countries, I just feel like you get a lot. You get a lot for your money. You're never bored. And I think that coming here, you're never bored, ever. There's so much to do.
Yep.
And so those are just some of the reasons why I like it. They drive on my side of the road. So, I didn't have to try to learn. I mean, they drive crazy now, but at least they are on the same, in the same direction that I'm used to driving. And on the same side of the car,
They're pretty bilingual too, right, Charlotte? I noticed that when I was there. most people speak both Spanish and English. Well, at least in Panama City, they did.
I don't know if I'd say most. I'll say that quite a few people do. And you are more likely, if you see a Black Panamanian, they're the ones more likely to be bilingual because they're the ones more than likely whose background is Jamaican, Bayesian, you know what I mean, Trinidad. And so their people spoke English and then Spanish. And so, but some of the others, not so much. Now, recently, over the last, say, 5 years or so, it's been a lot more English spoken here than there was before. And even with that, like I had a situation yesterday in Reba Smith, which is like a Wegmans type grocery store here. And the thing that kills me about this store, and I hadn't really experienced it for a while, is that they have all the American products you want. This is the store that you go to where you can buy everything that you want with the American brands. It's all imported, so of course it's a little bit more expensive. But then you have people there that just absolutely get flustered by a non-Spanish speaking expat, and it happened to my friend when we were there yesterday. And it's kind of like, I mean, why are you so impatient with us when you're drawn? You're marketing to us, you're inviting us in, and then you're saying you get on our nerves because you don't speak good Spanish. And sometimes I feel like that. But other than that, there's a lot more people speaking Spanish and that are bilingual than used to be.
Or that try to understand you. They put in an effort to communicate, I guess, more so than maybe other countries. Like here in Mexico, depends on where you are. Some people, they speak Spanish and they speak Spanish and they speak Spanish. If you don't speak Spanish, then
look, we said, look, too bad for yourself. Too bad for yourself. So bad for yourself. Yeah, I get it. And I do think that we should try to learn the language. I do.
I agree.
However, there are more people now, I think, what I've observed over the years is that there's more people now that are recognizing the financial benefits of being bilingual. And, I think you got more employers saying, do you speak English? Are you bilingual? And so I find a lot more reception from people now. And like some of them are like, okay, I want to speak English. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to speak Spanish. And, we're making connections. So some people are now, they know that there's a whole nother world of people speaking another language that they're missing out on.
Yep.
Even when it comes to helping with our tours, it's like, I'd really like to bring more of like family members in and, just other people. But honestly, if you don't speak English, you can't really serve our clients, the Black expats in Panama, because even though we'd like to come here and learn Spanish, we don't know it yet.
Tell us a little bit about your tours. So you're helping people that want to, consider Panama as their new home, and you take them out and show them this beautiful place. Tell us just a little bit about your tour.
Well, yes, and they have given me the nickname Harriet because I get so many people from the United States to Panama. Our tours were basically designed to meet the need. I started this Facebook group in 2019, and during the COVID shutdown, it exploded. So it went from like 0 to 200 members within the first year, and then, since then, since June of 2020 to now, we probably added 3,400 members.
Wow.
And so we've added 3,400 members. And so we created the tours to focus on those areas that are ignored by other tours, like the suburbs of Panama City. And then so we bring them, we show you the suburbs and introduce you to some developers in different areas. And then We take you out to the beach. So we go to Coronado, we go to Gorgona. We allow you to meet with other Black expats who have already, settled here, just so you can get a feel for what it's like living in their buildings and things like that. The first night that you come, we have like a reception dinner, and we connect you with a realtor, insurance professional, doctors, lawyers, and so that these people are on hand to answer your questions during the tour and after. And then we do the living. We have the living situation. We have Afro Panamanian tour guides, and they tell us the real story of Panama Canal and the diggers and everything like that. They give us the history, the qualified history, but also the history from our perspective as Black people here. Then we go to Cologne, and Cologne is a Black area outside of the city, about an hour or so outside of Panama City, that everyone wants you to avoid. It is just like so many other cities in the United States where, it's just ignored and abandoned until somebody else decides that they want it, and then it's worthy. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. So we take you to Cologne, explain to you what is the situation in Cologne, and let you make your own assessment about that. And then we go to, take you to the Black Christ, and, take you to Portobello, and we learn about Congo, influence there, and ruins. So we have a fun day, and we eat, Afro-Caribbean food, and then we go to an island. So we mix it up. And
how long is it, the tour?
5 days.
Okay.
5 days. And so it's not real long. We call it like pretty much a taste of Panama. But when they leave, they really feel like they've seen Panama, or enough about Panama to make a decision as to whether or not they want to live in any of the areas in the Panama City or surrounding.
I want people to reach out to you, if they do have an interest, but I had some really quick questions, like, is it easy to get a visa to Panama? Is it involved? I mean, is it relatively easy? Does it depend on my situation? Because a lot of people, for example, a lot of people want to come to Mexico because, all right, you get, boom, 6 months, and you can live here for 6 months and do whatever and decide if you want to live here or not. And some other countries are a little bit more restrictive. I mean, is it fairly easy to get in?
Well, the United States, if you're coming from the United States is considered a friendly nation to Panama. And so Panama has one visa option that's called the Friendly Nation Visa, or you might see it FNV. And the Friendly Nation Visa, up until like August, was like slam bam. You put $5,000 into a checking account or something, and it was just very easy to get your residency. They have changed that. So now, in order to get the Friendly Nation Visa, you can, the couple I interviewed last week, Dave and Marva Hinton, Sunset Cinema, that you can come and establish a business in Panama and to qualify for Friendly Nation Visa. Or now you can buy a property for $200,000 or more. It has changed. So that is one way. Another way is, and a very common and popular way, is the pensionado. And the pensionado is for people with pensions. And you can qualify to come here as long as your pension is, I don't know, $1,200 a person or something like that. And so that's another one. But you come here and you cannot work. So one of the caveats with the pensionado is that you're not supposed to work when you come to Panama. So that's why they want to confirm that your pension, it has to say lifetime, that your pension is going to be enough to carry you when you're here. I don't know what you call my situation. I'm married to a Panamanian, and so I came in as a spouse.
Yeah, that's different. That's different.
It wasn't real hard, but you still have a provisional period.
Here in Mexico as well. I wanted to, and I know that you'll agree with me, and a lot of people, Charlotte, are looking to move abroad. A lot of people want to find the perfect spot. A lot of people just want to get away. They just want to be somewhere. And, but I feel like by the same token, packing your things, your life, your family, your kids, your spouse, selling and going to another place should be something that you do take into careful consideration, regardless of whether, Mexico or Panama is the most beautiful place in the world. There is a checklist of things that you really should, go over and for example, go on like tours like that you have, to get a feel, because when you go there with blindly and you're there like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was like this and it's like this.
Yes.
I want to stress that to people, that really taking a tour like yours is such a good idea, especially when you're going to, Latin America, because Latin America ain't easy. And that it is not easy to live in Latin America. I don't care what anybody says. It's not easy. And there's so many little things that you really need to prepare yourself for. And, just getting a taste. And I'm sure that after 5 days, you're going to know whether this is something that you could really sink your teeth into. So I'm excited that you do offer that, because I feel that it's really, before I moved to Costa Rica, I went for 5 days myself. I went to Costa Rica. I did a couple of tours that I paid for just to get a feel for the land. And I felt it. I said, you know what? I like it. I really like it here. So I stress that. Do a tour, check it out. Don't just pack your stuff and go, because, then you get there and then, it's a pain. And I guess because the government wants to make sure that, you have money to support yourself, because you don't want to be stuck in Panama or anywhere else, with no money. Like, that's not cool. So yeah, go ahead. That is, I think that
is a reality. And I've seen people do that. All of a sudden they're here and then they're gone. And they didn't count the cost, to being here. And I don't know what they thought. But now, Panama also has, you can stay here 6 months still on your U.S. visa, U.S. passport. But there are just a lot of benefits to being a resident. So, I took that route. Definitely want to be a resident. I don't want to have to, come and go like that. But I think that you definitely need to do your research. You definitely need to do your research. I find living here to be a dream. To me, it really is. It's a dream. It's a dream come true. I did not come into the situation like other people did. I find that a lot of people, they use YouTube and, the internet to learn about, this place where this wasn't my introduction. I just came and my husband, I came to my husband's family. So the things that we do now to learn about countries and possible moving, I didn't go through that. But
Yep. Same here. There was no YouTube per se. There was no Facebook groups when I was leaving, nothing. I just had to kind of, wing it.
And it takes courage. It definitely takes courage. And then I think the hardest thing for me in Panama is the language, and I'm working it, but it definitely puts another layer of challenge on moving to a place like Panama, because it is a Spanish-speaking country. And, you have some people who don't want to embrace that, or just feel like, I really don't want to learn Spanish. And they move to these communities that are only expats. And you never speak the language. And I just think that you never really get connected. I'm not trying to live in America just to do America in another place.
Yep, you're right. You're right. You lose the whole, the whole essence of it. I mean, like, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
You might as well just stay, because let's face it, there are many places in the United States that you can live, even if you want to escape. I mean, there's many states that you could live in if you really wanted to get off the grid, right? We're coming to these places, Panama, wherever we go, for new experiences, for new cultural experiences, to introduce us to new cultures, new ways of doing things, new lifestyle. I mean, that's the crust of it, right? Not to just be, move from the U.S. to, to the U.S. Junior.
Exactly. You don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And I like that, I always want people to know that with Black expats in Panama, we do not exclude individuals, from being a part of the group. If you are looking to move to Panama and you can embrace, or you're truly interested in learning the Black culture of it as you go, and you're not going to come on my page and act all crazy, then we're open to that. Because you know what I'm saying? It's like, we're not an island. We're not an island. And when we get here, I'm starting to learn to speak more Spanish. So I'm starting to make new friends. And that is the biggest thing for me. I was just like, when you're not speaking the language and you're not allowing yourself to get involved in the culture, then you're missing out. I mean, I love the friends that I'm making. And you talk to people who have lived here. Like, I had a long conversation with my neighbor this morning about schools. And I said, you need to give me an interview, because she has a child in school. And a lot of people that are coming, they have questions about the schools. But a lot of people in our group are not necessarily young people. So the older people don't really care about schools. If you're coming as a retiree,
sure. Right, exactly.
They don't really care about the school.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the nomad, so the digital nomads. I mean, I think if you're a person that can travel and be at other places for your job, the Wi-Fi system, well, I kind of live around the city, so I can't really say what the Wi-Fi system and strength is in more rural areas of Panama. Can't really speak to that. But what I do know is that the Wi-Fi in and around the city is super sufficient. So that's very important for nomads, digital nomads that want to come and live in the other countries in the world.
You are a woman that wears many, many hats. And one of your hats is you are a radio star now, which is really exciting. You have another outlet, another opportunity to share information about, which I think is very, not just YouTube, but now you're on the radio sharing information about what life is like and others living in Panama. Tell us a little bit about your radio program.
Well, first of all, I want to just publicly thank you face to face, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have a radio program. And when you suggested me to the program directors, and I was just like, I have a lot to do, and you don't want to take on more than you can handle and be sloppy about your stuff. But my spirit just said, you have to say yes. And so I said yes. And it took a few months for me to get ready, to do it. But I started a show. It airs every Sunday, Eastern Standard Time right now at 3 p.m. It's Costa Rica time, 2 p.m. But the show is Black Expat in Panama by way of Glassboro, New Jersey. And it's the show that I decided. I'm glad it took me a little bit while to get it together, how I wanted to do it, because I have the show broken up into 3 different categories. And number 1 is my experience from little old Glassboro, New Jersey, because there's a lot of fear around moving to international places, and you got people who have absolutely no experience with anyone who has ever traveled abroad, let alone lived abroad. And I think that when we see them, when we show them that, we can do this, that they can consider it and research it. So number 1, the encouragement from me being a small town Glassboro chick, making it all the way to Panama City. The other part is, because it's on Sunday, it's the day that I honor my mother. And my mother passed when I was young. And it was before we had all this video, and I have nothing that has my mother's voice on it. I have nothing that is a moving, image of my mom ever. But I'm telling you, I realized like some years ago that the way I stay connected to her is music. And so every Sunday I celebrate mommy, because when I play the music was a very important element in our household. When I play the music, I see mommy singing. I remember certain times, I see her dancing, and it's how I stay connected to her, right? And so that's the other part. So I talk about mommy, and then I throw in old school to honor mommy. Like, Al Green is my man, okay? And so I start out my show with I'm So Tired of Being Alone, just because that's the first song on my playlist as I'm taking off, coming and going back from the United States to Panama. But then we also interview Black expats in Panama and abroad to get information like this out to the people, so that people can get to meet people who are actually doing it. So that's kind of the show all rolled up. And that's what we're doing now. I mean, it can evolve over time, but that's what we're doing right now. And I'm loving it. Our first show aired on November 7th, and I'm loving it. Yes.
Congratulations.
Riley Jackson, Devin Austin, they've been amazing.
They are.
It was helping me and everything because this is brand new to me. But, I like it. And I had one listener say, I've never thought about moving abroad, and I still am not thinking about moving abroad. But if I ever do decide that I would like to move abroad, your show is giving me so much knowledge that I wouldn't know otherwise. So I like that. I'll take it.
Yeah. And I think that's what it's all about, just sharing the knowledge. And I'm a stickler, and I'm a big advocate in people getting knowledge from people that have the experience, that been there, done that. There's a lot of YouTubers out here that put up a YouTube, and they've been to wherever for 3 months, and all of a sudden they're experts. Well, now I'm going to teach you about living abroad, but you've only been abroad for 3 months. Like, what do you know? What experiences have you had? So it's really important to connect with people that, have been living the life, that, know what it's like, that have been down and, on the ground, and they really have spent time, because you can't be an expert in 3 months living in anywhere. I don't care who you are, you're not an expert. So
you make such a good point. And let me just quickly add, what you're saying pretty much is, in doing our research and being diligent about that, doing our due diligence, vet your information. Vet the person that's giving you the information. I mean, if you watch some news channels, you could actually see some people sitting up there talking, and you'd be like, oh my goodness, if I did not know that you was lying through your teeth, I would believe every word that you said, because you are just presenting it so well.
Yep.
So make sure that you're vetting the information. And when you talk about people just making that plunge, like, I'm out, and then coming to places like Panama and having to go back home with the tail between their legs, you wonder where they got the information from before.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
I have my connection.
Yeah, your connection's clipping.
My connection is a little weak.
Yeah.
Did I freeze up on you?
Yeah, a little bit. But we're wrapping it up now. So I think it's your internet is saying, okay, wrap it up now.
Exactly. My internet is reminding us you got other stuff to do too.
So quickly before we go, Charlotte, there's other things that I'd love to talk to you, but time will not permit, like your sister Lux, Maven, Queen. But we will put at the bottom of this video, we're going to put all your info if people want to reach out to you, if they want Sister Lux information, if they want Panama, of course, living in Panama information, your radio show. We're going to just throw all of your info out there so folks can connect with you. And it has been such an honor and a pleasure to get to talk with you about one of my favorite countries that I visited. And
you got to come back.
I would, here's a quick story. So when I went to Panama, I was living in Costa Rica, and I took the bus because it's a 12-hour bus ride. But I went at night, and we crossed over Panama at night, the whole country at night, to get to Panama City. And we get to Panama City at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I was there for 4 days. And then going back, the bus was overnight. So we crossed back over Panama overnight. So guess what? I didn't see anything but Panama City. All I got to see was the city.
Literally, you didn't see anything. You did Panama in the dark, baby. So we got to bring you into the light, get you here during the day. And
I know Panama City. I spent 4 days in Panama City, but the rest of the country, I don't know. So I'm going to go back.
But that's a good tip for somebody else. Like, okay, maybe I'll consider not traveling at night so that you can see more.
Yep.
You know. Yep. But thank you for coming to Panama, and I look forward to seeing you over here again.
Yes, I'm going to make it over there. Thank you, Charlotte. Big hugs from Mexico to you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to listening to you and getting more info about that beautiful country.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
And thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.